On Monday, I ran through my 7 top tips for passing your CIMA objective test exams. And my top tip number 6 was to stick to your exam day strategy. So today I'm going to go in detail through my exam day strategy so that you can see how I approached and conducted myself during the 90-minute, 60-mark OT exams. So if you are sitting your objective test exams, then you're not going to want to miss this video. So let's go. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Craigo and here I discuss all things CIMA and accounting. Today we are going to be looking at my exam day strategy, which allowed me to pass all of my CIMA exams first time. This exam day strategy is tailored exclusively for the objective test exams. And exams that consist of 60 marks over a 90-minute period, which requires a scaled pass mark of 100 out of 150. And the question I often see a lot is, what is the best way to approach the 60 questions? Do you work through in chronological order? Do you go through the questions and answer the easiest ones first? Do you work through and answer the hardest, most time-consuming ones first, just to get them out of the way? You probably all got those same questions, and that is why I am going to run through that with you guys today. My 3-step protocol for my exam day strategy consists of 3 stages. Stage 1 was to answer the easy and the basic questions. Stage 2 was to answer the calculations and the longer theoretical questions. And then step 3 is to go over the extremely complex and time-consuming questions, and maybe even guess if there are still questions once you have reviewed that you are still unsure about. We are just going to go into more detail on my 3-step protocol and give you more detail on what I would do during each stage of the exam. And what I would do at this stage is work from question 1 through to 60, answering the easier and the shorter questions and putting my answer in so that I've got placeholders in for those. At this point, if I did have any difficulties with any questions and I wasn't sure about them, or they were just too timely and complex, then I would flag the questions. If I felt like I knew the answer, however, it required a bit more time and wasn't within the first stage of my protocol, which was to answer simple and less time-consuming questions, then I would simply leave them unanswered. The CIMA review screen is a fantastic little tool which basically shows you at any point in time which questions you have left unanswered and which questions you have flagged for review. And if you use this well enough, you will be able to keep on top of the questions that you need to go back to and review if you have some time at the end of the exam, but also identify the questions by leaving them unanswered which you haven't answered, and will do so because they are more complex and more time consuming. Remember, you need a set amount of marks to pass your exam, and CIMA sets around 70%, which makes 42 out of 60 marks. So you don't want to waste too much time on a question such as a calculation question, which is going to give you the ability to lose and answer the volume of questions. Because if you can get through the first review, which hopefully will be about 70% of the questions, and get a decent answer down on paper very quickly, then you can be sure that you have got a significant amount of marks after only 1 review of each exam question. And chances are you're not going to have used up any more than about 30 to 45 minutes of your exam time, giving you the other 50% of your exam time to focus on the longer, more complex questions. So then that takes me on to step 2, which is to review the unanswered questions. And these are the questions that I've left unanswered because either they are too time consuming, such as calculation based questions, or they were just massive paragraphs of text which I couldn't read quickly and answer the question quickly. And what I would do is use the time that I have remaining to review these questions. Once I have reviewed my unanswered questions, I would then go on to the flagged questions, which I flagged on stage 1. If, when going through stage 2 with the more time consuming and complex questions, I am unable to answer the question or get a reasonable confidence behind answering that question, then I would simply do my best to put an answer in and then flag the question for review. And at this stage, after flagging questions on stage 1 and stage 2, I should be left at stage 3 with a set of flagged for review questions which I need to review and go over again, and using the additional time that I have left in the exam. So that by the time you get to stage 3, the only questions that will remain are questions that you genuinely have no idea about or are flagged for review, because although you have put an answer, you're not 100% sure and you want to just take another look, consolidate and think about it for a bit longer. And that leads me on to step number 3 of my protocol, which is to review the flagged answers. By this point, I will be left with a series of questions which I have flagged for review, either because they are A, too complex, or B, I just want to have another review of them because I'm not quite sure on the answer I gave first time. And because I've worked through my stage 1 and stage 2 in my exam day strategy, I have been gifted essentially bonus time. And I call it bonus time because this is time that you can spend answering the harder questions without having the pressure on you to work through these at a quicker pace. These are questions that you aren't that sure on, and therefore you have some time to work through these questions. And if you don't get these questions right, then it's not the end of the world, because you've already worked through the easier, simpler questions and banked those marks in for your exam. For an extreme example, let's flip the strategy around the other way. Let's say we did stage 3 first and we answered the complex exams. These questions are the type of questions that you can waste valuable minutes on answering, all for 1 mark. So let's say you answered 5 long calculation questions and it took you half an hour. You have then only got 1 hour to answer 50 questions. You have got your backs against the wall. Whereas with the strategy that I have spoken through today, it has enabled you to get the marks in the bag. So when you go on to your final few questions where you genuinely don't know the answer to, you have the time to work through it. You won't have the pressure of having to work through them so quickly, and it will give you the best possible chance of arriving at an answer and scoring the additional bonus points which you may need to pass your exam. And if you do get to the end and you've got 2 or 3 minutes left, you've got 2 or 3 questions left and you really don't know the answer, just make sure you guess. If it's multiple choice, you'll have a 25% chance of getting the correct answer. So you would be silly, at least, not to guess your answer. And you never know, that one guess could be the difference between passing and failing your exam. You may even be at a stage where you have answered all your first easy and basic questions and calculation questions so well that you may have even passed your exam and met the pass mark before even having to answer any of your complex exam questions. And the reason I like this strategy, and I look back to an example of mine, is I sat my P2 exam. I had 10 minutes of the exam left and I had answered 50 questions. I was able to answer a further 4 questions in the last 10 minutes, meaning that I left 10% of the exam unanswered. However, I passed the exam first time on that day. And the reason I genuinely believe I passed that exam is because I did the simple and easy questions first. I racked the marks up so that then when it came to the end, the questions that I got wrong were questions that I probably would have got wrong anyway. Just for summary, my 3-stage strategy for passing your CIMA OT exams. Number 1, answer the simple and basic questions first. Number 2, answer the slightly more complex and calculation based questions. And then stage 3 is to answer any questions that you aren't sure about. And if you need to, guess an answer, because if you've got a multiple choice test that has 4 answers, 1 has to be right. You've got a 25% chance of picking up an additional mark. But that is all from me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope if you are studying your CIMA exam, then my exam day strategy has helped you think a bit differently about the way that you approach your exam and conduct yourself in your exam on exam day. If you do have any questions about any of my exam strategy, then please do feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you do adopt my exam strategy and it does help you to go on and pass your exams, then please do let me know. That would be a fantastic thing to hear. To all of you who are studying your exams, I wish you the best of luck. If you do need any additional revision material, then please do feel free to check out my strategy link down at the bottom of this video. But that is all from from me today. I look forward to the next video. Until then, goodbye.